Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today, including John Shannon, standing by, brought to you by Able Auctions, our title sponsor, ableauctions.ca. Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox, just before we get to John. Curtis Oland. The entertainment value at Rogers will never meet that of other rinks. Giveaways, cheerleaders, ice girls, playing the song Born to Be Alive. Hey, they don't need to entertain because fans buy the tickets anyway.
Yeah.
And, well, you know what? I don't know how
job, Dan.
I don't know how old Curtis is, but you and I remember mid-'80s, even late '90s, when there were a lot of empty seats at the Coliseum, a lot of empty seats at what was then GM Place during the Messier era. It can happen, but first and foremost, you got to get yourself a winning hockey team.
Yeah. Oh,
seems like they're working on it. All right, joined now by John Shannon, NHL analyst, co-host of the Bob McCowan podcast. Thanks for doing this. How are you, sir?
I'm great, boys. How are you?
Very well, very well.
How's your cough?
Oh, my gosh. Now, you're a TV veteran. I had the bad coughing fit, and Rick didn't bail me out.
No, it's
That's
not
grounds
right.
for dismissal.
Well, you know what? Rick's a radio guy. He doesn't care.
Thank you.
He doesn't care.
Thanks. You know,
radio
is so different.
Well, I'm not sure that it's worthy of a thank you, Rick, but it's true. You know, I mean,
it's true. In radio,
turn your mic off, walk around the room. You know,
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
But Rick, you're graduating to television now. You're learning a bit better.
It's been a work in progress. He's the TV legend. I'm just following, him. And
I love what John just said there. Graduated to television. Spoken like a true television person.
Yeah.
And by the way, nothing could be grounds for dismissal for Rick Dollywall. He's a god around here. Hey, John, Canucks 5-2-1 their last 8 games under Rick Tocchet. What are you noticing in terms of improvement at a time when there are some significant injuries?
Well, what I see is that Rick Tocchet, Sergei Gonchar, Adam Foote have got to the guys. Yeah. And I think that there's a real understanding of how to play Rick Tocchet hockey. And if that's not a good marketing campaign, I don't know what is. That to me is the biggest difference. We did see it when Bruce was there that there was no quit in them, but they've taken it to another level. And the other thing is, I do think we have to give credit even with the injuries. You have to give credit to Demko for being Demko, and there are some bright lights on this club that have been able to change a bit of the fortune when you look at Kuzmenko and what Pettersson have done all season long.
Hey, John, Barry Trotz, and he was in Vancouver when Nashville paid a visit the other night. He ends up back in Nashville as the team's GM. Did you see that move coming? Does it make sense for him?
It does. It does make sense. When coaches always yearn for job stability. We went through a phase where guys like Mike Babcock were getting 8-year contracts. Barry had to leave Washington because he couldn't get an extension. So I think that there's always that ilk of coaches saying, well, why can't I get job security like the manager? We actually had Barry on our show prior to Christmas, and he was non-committal about coaching, but he also hinted at other things. And in talking to David Poile this week, it certainly sounds like there was a really good early conversation about Barry. Would you like to come back to Nashville? My time is coming to an end here. Maybe you're the guy that could change it. And now, as with the Predators in Vancouver the other night, Barry's learning the ropes of what it's like to be in the press box, and also learning the collective bargaining agreement, which is something that'll be new for him.
John, help me out with this. In the last 48 hours, we're hearing about Houston and Atlanta, possibly the NHL going there. Please tell me, how would going back to Atlanta for a third time make any possible sense to you?
I don't know where this stuff's coming from. I've asked people at the league, and they just shake their head.
Yeah, thank you.
It's whether it's a friend of a friend who has deep pockets and wants to get in. Think about this, Rick. An NHL team has 50 contracts at its disposal. Do you think we're ready for another 100 contracts in the national? And the answer is no. The answer is no. There are still major issues in this league when it comes to ownership and arenas and stability. We still have to figure out what's going to happen in Tempe, Arizona with their plebiscite on May 16th. And the Ottawa Senators are still for sale.
Yeah.
And we can talk about having 15 teams or 15 groups interested. We can talk about the books being opened and we're finally going to get some bids, but that's not done yet. And those things have to get done. To me, this is one of those flyers that, and two of the guys that tweeted this stuff out are friends of mine. And I actually said, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, it could happen." Yeah, it could happen in 15 years. And then you're going to retweet it and said, "See, I told you so."
Exactly.
I just don't get it. It doesn't make sense at this point. They're having trouble right now trying to organize a schedule so that the rivalries can be maintained, adding 2 teams, and particularly in a city where a downtown arena does not work in Atlanta. They'd have to build a new arena. And the owner in Houston, the owner of the basketball team, Tillman Fertitta, probably wants the hockey team at 20 cents on the dollar, and we know that's not going to happen.
The Senators, you mentioned there the bidding process has begun and reported 15 parties interested, including Ryan Reynolds and the Remington Group.
Yep.
What are you hearing, and do you believe this large amount of competition?
Well, between Bill Daley saying it to us and the commissioner reiterating it, that they're now into phase 2 where the books are opened and you have to have a serious bid. Everybody thought it would go between 6 and 800 million. There's a hope now, I think, that it goes a little north of 800 million. But at the same time, guys, that's just to buy the hockey team and the existing real estate in Ottawa. That doesn't include the money to build the new arena downtown.
Right.
This is not as simple as writing a single check. This is a really complex deal, and so the hope of having it done quickly, which was maybe by All-Star break, I think we've got to now hope that there's some sort of ownership settled by the Board of Governors meeting at the end of June.
And John, Connor McDavid at 124 points. That's a career high. That's in 65 games. The record is, I still shake my head at this, even though I was around for it, 215 points, Gretzky, in 85-86 when they lost to Calgary in the playoffs. What do you think Connor McDavid would have done in that era? Would he have been in the 215 range?
Yes, and when you consider that he, and we all love Wayne and what Wayne did for the game, and Wayne also played with 8 Hall of Famers, I think.
Yeah. No kidding.
The other question is, what would Connor do if he played with Glenn Anderson and Mark Messier and Yari Curry? And
Coffee.
That's not a knock at the guys he's playing with now, but the pedigree of that Oiler team, much deeper than one player, is truly one of the great stories of our time. Listen, but the other thing is, and I know we got to go.
No, it's okay.
The other thing is, Connor never lived in the bump and grind and water ski through the neutral zone that Wayne lived through, even though you couldn't catch Wayne. The amount of interference that Connor receives is not near as much as what players like Mario. Remember when Mario called it the Garage League?
Yeah.
And threatened to quit. Connor's never been interfered since he was in Pee Wee hockey. That's when the rules changed. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I'd love to see it somehow. John, thanks for this. Appreciate it.
Have a great day, boys, and keep that cough button right at bay.
Yeah.
Keep it right there.
Thanks for having the old TV guys back.
And bail them out next time.
I know.
I will. Okay, I'm learning on the fly, John.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.